Banks are out, and the world of finance may never look the same again. In an era where disruption is the only constant, Ripple, once the darling of Wall Street headlines and the poster child for banking partnerships, is making a seismic shift. The company is boldly stepping away from the comfort and prestige of traditional banking partners, placing a massive bet on decentralized finance, DeFi, and, in doing so, is reshaping the very foundation of money itself. What does this unprecedented move mean for XRP? And could this mark the dawn of a true financial revolution that finally sidelines the centuries-old banking order? Stay with us as we peel back the layers of Ripple's radical pivot, exploring the motives, the risks, and the far-reaching consequences for the global financial system. Let's hit rewind for a moment. For more than a decade, Ripple captured imaginations and headlines by striking deals with some of the most iconic banks in the world. The narrative was irresistible. A cutting-edge blockchain company rubbing shoulders with the titans of global finance. Bank of America, Santander, and Standard Chartered were just a few of the names tied to Ripple's early ambitions. As David Schwartz, Ripple's chief technology officer, once quipped, "Banks, it's very sexy when you close a deal with a bank." These high-profile partnerships lent Ripple an undeniable air of legitimacy and helped it gain traction with investors, regulators, and the broader financial community. In the early days, landing a deal with a big-name bank was viewed as the ultimate validation for a blockchain company. It signaled that the old guard was ready to embrace something new, and it gave Ripple a seat at the table in conversations about the future of finance. The media, always hungry for stories about disruption, eagerly broadcasted these partnerships, fueling a sense of momentum and inevitability. But beneath the surface, all that glitters was not gold. Despite the buzz and media attention, these partnerships rarely delivered meaningful results. Banks, it turned out, were slow to move, bogged down by layers of bureaucracy, legacy infrastructure, and a deeply ingrained culture of risk aversion. While Ripple's technology promised faster, cheaper, and more transparent cross-border payments, banks hesitated to pass these innovations on to their customers. Why the reluctance? According to Schwartz, banks feared that fully embracing Ripple's blockchain-based solutions would shine a spotlight on their own inefficiencies, effectively exposing the cracks in the traditional financial plumbing. In many cases, deals with Ripple became more about splashy press releases than substantial, lasting change. As Schwartz bluntly put it, they are never going to be Ripple success stories. This tension was not unique to Ripple. Throughout modern financial history, the established order has often struggled to keep up with technological change. Consider, for example, the resistance to online banking in the late 1990s, or the initial skepticism toward mobile payments in the early 2000s. Banks, by their very nature, are designed to be cautious stewards of capital, prioritizing stability over innovation. This conservatism, while sometimes justified, has historically left them trailing behind nimbler, more daring rivals. Take a look back at the early days of credit cards. When the concept was first introduced in the 1950s, many banks hesitated to participate, viewing the technology as risky and untested. Yet, over the next several decades, credit cards became a standard fixture in global commerce, reshaping consumer behavior and giving rise to entirely new industries. The lesson: those who resist innovation often find themselves left behind as change accelerates. As the world of finance evolved, a new breed of competitors began to emerge. Agile fintech startups, money service businesses, and crypto-native platforms, unburdened by legacy systems, were eager to embrace innovation. Ripple's on-demand liquidity service, a system that leverages XRP to instantly settle cross-border transactions, quietly started processing billions of dollars outside the traditional banking systems. Suddenly, the promise of blockchain was no longer just theoretical. It was delivering real utility, moving real money, and serving real businesses. Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple's CEO, highlighted, "The XRP ledger can process over $21 trillion yearly, signaling a shift in global financial liquidity." This shift was not just about volume. It was about empowerment. For the first time, small businesses, remittance providers, and even individuals could bypass the traditional financial gatekeepers. Ripple's technology allowed for near-instant settlement across borders, reducing costs and minimizing the delays that had long plagued international commerce. In regions like Southeast Asia, where cross-border remittances are a lifeline for millions of families, these improvements were not just incremental, they were transformative. At Ripple's headquarters, a sense of frustration began to set in. Years spent chasing bank partnerships had, in retrospect, become a distraction from the company's core mission. Schwartz summed it up succinctly. "If all they want is a press release now, we're like, hey, we want to move billions of dollars now. The time had come for a dramatic recalibration, a shift away from the comforting embrace of legacy institutions and toward a bold, decentralized future. This was not a decision made lightly. After all, the banking sector remains one of the most powerful and influential forces in the global economy. But Ripple's leadership recognized that clinging to old alliances would limit the company's potential. The future, they believed, belonged to those willing to challenge convention and forge new paths. And that's where things get truly fascinating and perhaps a little nerve-wracking. Ripple is now going all in on decentralized finance. The company is embracing stablecoins, most notably RLUSD, a Ripple-backed stablecoin designed for both institutional DeFi and cross-border payments. Ripple is forging new partnerships with blockchain leaders such as Chainlink, a powerhouse in the realm of on-chain data and interoperability, and BNY Mellon, one of the world's oldest and most respected custodians of financial assets. The strategy is clear. Move away from slow, risk-averse banks and double down on real-world adoption, utility, and compliance. But what does all this look like in practice? The new vision for Ripple is one where money moves at the speed of the internet. Decentralized liquidity pools, on-chain settlement, and tokenized assets make it possible for transactions to occur 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, unbound by borders, weekends, or banking holidays. A fintech startup in Lagos can send funds to a remittance provider in Manila in seconds, not days, and with a fraction of the cost. This is not just a technological upgrade. It is a fundamental shift in who controls access to financial infrastructure. To better understand this, imagine a world where a farmer in Kenya can sell crops to a supermarket in Germany and receive payment instantly, without waiting for multiple intermediaries to approve and settle the transaction. Or picture a small manufacturer in Vietnam paying suppliers in India using stablecoins, eliminating the need to convert currencies multiple times and slashing foreign exchange fees. These scenarios are no longer futuristic dreams. They are quickly becoming realities, thanks to platforms like Ripple and the growing ecosystem of decentralized finance. CoinDesk analysts have speculated that if Ripple manages to capture even a modest slice of the booming market for tokenized treasuries, traditionally the domain of sovereign governments and blue-chip banks, the value of XRP could soar to $10 or more per coin. To put this in perspective, that would represent a multi-fold increase from previous highs, potentially making XRP one of the world's most valuable digital assets. And it's not just analysts who are bullish. A recent report from JP Morgan suggested that new ETFs, exchange-traded funds based on XRP, could attract billions of dollars in investor inflows, further cementing Ripple's position at the heart of institutional DeFi. The numbers involved are staggering. Global cross-border payments are expected to surpass $150 trillion annually within the next decade, with a growing share likely to be settled on digital rails. If Ripple and XRP capture even a small fraction of this volume, the implications for the company and for the broader financial system are profound. Yet this bold transition is not without significant risk. By stepping away from the relatively safe, if frustrating, path of bank partnerships, Ripple is venturing into uncharted waters. The decentralized finance ecosystem, while dynamic and innovative, is still young. Security threats, such as hacks and smart contract vulnerabilities, are ever present. Regulatory uncertainty looms large, with authorities in the United States, Europe, and Asia each taking a different approach to digital assets. The ongoing legal battle with the Securities and Exchange Commission, a saga that has stretched on for years, remains a cloud over Ripple's future, even as the company works to resolve outstanding issues and clear the path for broader adoption. It is worth pausing here to look back at some of the more dramatic cautionary tales. The so-called DO hack of 2016, which resulted in millions of dollars being stolen from the Ethereum network due to a smart contract vulnerability, still haunts the crypto industry. More recently, high-profile collapses of DeFi lending platforms and algorithmic stablecoins have led to billions of dollars in losses and shaken confidence in the space. For Ripple, success will depend not only on technical innovation, but also on robust governance, risk management, and the ability to build trust in a sector often marred by headlines of fraud and failure. As Brad Garlinghouse recently observed, the XRP ledger can process over $21 trillion yearly, but its real value comes from solving real-world problems. This is a crucial distinction. In the volatile world of crypto, where speculation and hype often dominate the headlines, Ripple is staking its future on delivering genuine, tangible benefits. The company is investing heavily in compliance, building robust systems to ensure transparency and accountability, and engaging with regulators to help shape the rules of the new financial order. To understand the broader context, let's look at some historical parallels. Think back to the rise of the internet itself. In the early 1990s, established media companies scoffed at the idea that digital platforms could ever threaten their dominance. Newspapers and television networks had been the gatekeepers of information for generations. Yet within 2 decades, companies like Google, Facebook, and Amazon had completely upended the landscape, creating new markets and leaving many traditional players scrambling to adapt. The same dynamic is now playing out in finance, with blockchain technology serving as the great equalizer. Another striking parallel can be drawn to the music industry. When file-sharing services such as Napster first appeared in the late 1990s, record labels initially ignored, then aggressively fought, digital disruption. In the end, it was artists, platforms, and entrepreneurs who embraced technology that reaped the rewards, while many industry giants either vanished or were forced to reinvent themselves. The lesson: technological waves eventually sweep away even the mightiest incumbents. Ripple's pivot to decentralized finance is also part of a larger movement sweeping through the industry. Institutional DeFi, where large financial institutions use decentralized tools to manage assets, settle trades, and provide liquidity, is gaining momentum. Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin is specifically designed to meet the needs of these players, offering the stability of fiat currency with the speed and transparency of blockchain. Collaborations with Chainlink are crucial in this context, as high-quality on-chain data is essential for building trust and enabling complex financial products. As Chainlink's Colin Cunningham and Johan Eid have pointed out, the future of DeFi depends on accurate, reliable data flows and robust smart contract infrastructure. And let's not forget the end users, businesses and individuals who stand to benefit the most from these changes. For years, cross-border payments have been plagued by high fees, slow processing times, and a lack of transparency. Migrant workers sending money home, small exporters dealing with overseas customers, and even multinational corporations managing global payrolls have all faced unnecessary friction. By leveraging decentralized rails, Ripple is making it possible to move money faster, cheaper, and with complete transparency. These are not abstract improvements. They have the potential to impact millions of lives, from the bustling markets of Mumbai to the tech hubs of Silicon Valley. For example, a Filipino nurse working in Dubai can now send her hard-earned wages back to her family in the Philippines in a matter of seconds, at a fraction of the cost charged by traditional remittance services. Small businesses in Nigeria can receive payments from customers in Europe without navigating a labyrinth of correspondent banks and hidden charges. Even charities and NGOs stand to benefit, as decentralized rails make it easier to deliver aid directly to those in need, bypassing the inefficiencies and potential for corruption in traditional channels. Of course, the road ahead is not without hazards. The absence of strict oversight from banks means that security threats and regulatory uncertainties are more pronounced than ever. Hacks, smart contract bugs, and sudden changes in government policy could disrupt Ripple's progress overnight. The infamous DO hack of 2016, which saw millions of dollars drained from a smart contract on the Ethereum network, serves as a stark reminder of what can go wrong in the Wild West of decentralized finance. For Ripple, success will depend not just on technical prowess, but on building trust in a world that often fears what it does not fully understand. On the regulatory front, the landscape is shifting rapidly. In the United States, the Securities and Exchange Commission continues to scrutinize digital assets, sparking intense debate about whether cryptocurrencies like XRP should be regulated as securities or as a new class of financial instrument. Meanwhile, Europe has introduced the markets in crypto assets, MiCA, regulation, aiming to create a unified framework for digital assets across the continent. In Asia, countries like Singapore and Japan are positioning themselves as global blockchain hubs, embracing innovation while imposing clear rules to protect consumers and maintain market integrity. Ripple's response has been to double down on compliance and transparency, working closely with regulators and industry groups to help shape sensible policies. The company's pursuit of a United States national bank charter is a bold move that, if successful, would grant Ripple direct access to the Federal Reserve's payment systems. This would allow Ripple to operate at the intersection of old and new finance, creating bridges between traditional banks and the decentralized economy. Few competitors can claim such a hybrid position. So what does all this mean for you, the viewer, the investor, the curious onlooker? First and foremost, it is a wake-up call. The financial world is shifting beneath our feet, and the winners will not necessarily be those with the oldest names or the deepest pockets. Instead, victory will go to those agile enough to embrace new technology and use it for genuine utility. If you work in payments, fintech, or global commerce, this is your moment to adapt or risk being left behind. Decentralized financial rails are no longer a science experiment. They are a present reality, reshaping the way money moves around the world. Even if you are just watching from the sidelines, paying attention to these shifts could help you spot the next big trend before it becomes yesterday's news. We have seen this movie before. In industries as diverse as music, transportation, and retail, the companies that recognized the writing on the wall and adapted early went on to dominate their fields, while the laggards faded into obscurity. The key lesson here is deceptively simple, yet profound. Utility is king. As David Schwartz, Ripple's CTO, puts it, the true value of cryptocurrencies isn't found in hype or speculation, but in real-world impact. This means looking beyond headlines about price swings or splashy partnerships and asking yourself, does this technology actually solve a real problem? Does it create a service people need? One that improves lives or streamlines business? Consider for a moment the broader implications of Ripple's move. If decentralized finance succeeds in replacing traditional banking rails, the consequences could be enormous. Financial inclusion could accelerate, as billions of unbanked or underbanked people gain access to services previously out of reach. Small businesses in emerging markets could find new ways to raise capital, bypassing the gatekeepers that have long controlled access to credit. At the same time, established financial institutions could see their business models upended, forced to adapt or risk irrelevance. Yet it is important to recognize that decentralized solutions are not a panacea. While banks' caution may have frustrated innovators like Ripple, it also served as a bulwark against reckless risk-taking and systemic instability. The decentralized world brings its own set of challenges. New risks that replace old bureaucracy. The collapse of several high-profile DeFi projects in recent years, often due to security breaches or flawed incentives, illustrates that innovation must be paired with responsibility. Ripple's pivot is a calculated gamble, a recognition that waiting for legacy institutions to catch up could mean missing out entirely on the next great technological wave. By betting on real-world utility, Ripple is not just riding the next wave. It is helping to create it. The company is actively pursuing a United States national bank charter, a move that, if successful, would grant Ripple direct access to the Federal Reserve's payment systems. This could create a powerful bridge between the old world and the new, allowing Ripple to operate at the intersection of traditional finance and blockchain-powered innovation in ways few competitors can match. Looking ahead, the path for Ripple and XRP is both thrilling and uncertain. If the company succeeds in its quest to become a regulated, compliant, and indispensable player in the new financial order, the rewards could be immense. Experts from CoinDesk and JP Morgan foresee a future in which XRP-based ETFs draw billions of dollars in investment, and the value of XRP itself climbs to new heights. Crypto market analysts are placing the odds of XRP spot ETF approvals at as high as 98% before the end of 2025, a scenario that could unleash a tidal wave of institutional capital. But there are hurdles to overcome. The resolution of Ripple's ongoing lawsuit with the Securities and Exchange Commission will play a crucial role in shaping market perception and regulatory clarity. The company must also continue investing in security, compliance, and education to ensure that new users feel safe and empowered to participate in the decentralized economy. And, as always, Ripple must navigate the shifting sands of global regulation, adapting to local laws and building partnerships that transcend borders. There is another dimension to Ripple's strategy that deserves attention: its commitment to education and outreach. Ripple has invested in university blockchain research initiatives, sponsored hackathons, and partnered with academic institutions around the world to cultivate the next generation of developers and entrepreneurs. By fostering a culture of innovation and learning, Ripple aims to ensure that the ecosystem continues to grow and that the benefits of decentralized finance reach as many people as possible. So what can you do to prepare for this new era? Whether you are a business leader, a developer, an investor, or simply a curious observer, now is the time to educate yourself. Follow developments in decentralized finance closely, experiment with new tools and platforms, and think critically about how these technologies might impact your industry or community. The democratization of finance is not a spectator sport. Those who engage early have the best chance to shape the outcome. And here's a secret fact that most people overlook. Behind Ripple's high-profile moves and headline-grabbing announcements, the company is quietly building the infrastructure for a new financial system. With its pursuit of a United States national bank charter, its development of institutional DeFi solutions like RLUSD, and its deepening partnerships with leaders like Chainlink and BNY Mellon, Ripple is laying the groundwork for a world in which decentralized and traditional finance coexist and even complement each other. As the dust settles and the financial world continues to evolve at breakneck speed, the choice before us is clear. We can watch from the stands, clinging to the familiar comforts of the past, or we can join the game, embracing the promise and potential of a new financial order. The stakes have never been higher, and the opportunities have never been greater. Subscribe to our channel for more insights from the front lines of global finance and technology. What do you think? Can decentralized platforms outpace the banks, or is Ripple playing with fire? Leave your thoughts below and stay tuned for the